Hey good people, Batavia here. Welcome to my Chicago garden where we're right at the point where the rest of the season depends on the things that I'm doing right now. So it's very easy to kind of rest on the work we've already put in. There are plenty of things that are growing in the garden, but I know that there is more to do and there's more that's possible in this space. So what we're going to do today is focus on getting our last summer plantings planted. We have our new raised bed that I've actually built twice now behind me. We have our buckets over here where I'm planting primarily peppers, and then I have some grow bags that I need to get planted out. I also have some harvesting to do. And that's part of the joy of the work that we put in. So over here in the cage baby, I have some greens, some kale primarily, but I also pull a couple of collard green leaves, try to manage the plants as best as I can so they don't get overgrown. And then I have some broccoli in the front yard garden. And preparing that broccoli space is going to be important because in the coming week, I'll be planting out my sweet corn. So excited about that. Last year was such a great year for sweet corn in my garden space. So I'm looking for kind of that same level of productivity, although I have changed the variety of sweet corn that I'm growing. So before I get started with my work, I do want to do a quick walk around with y'all. Let's see what the garden space looks like right now. We're at the very beginning of summer, and it allows me and you, if you're following along, to be able to kind of see how things progress. Some of these spaces will look like they look today, and in a week they're going to be wholly different. So let's dig in. So we're going to come back once I get my last of the work done. Today is overcast, so it's a great day to do the work I have to get done, but also to pick some of these greens. This is not enough for me to make like a batch of collard greens. I normally do like a southern style type of collard green recipe, but it's enough for me to harvest some of these lower leaves to manage the plant a little bit better. They'll continue to grow up through the center. I'll also pick some of the kale that's in here. The kale was planted a lot closer together this year because I wanted to be able to harvest leaves as they were smaller. Generally, I would plant them a little bit further apart, but because I planted them so late, I wanted to make sure that I got plenty from the plants. I do have my cabbage that is coming along. This was also, I think it's like a month ago that these were transplanted in. And so there's a little bit of weeding that I need to do, but I'm pleased with the way things look right now. This is one more space that I have dedicated to cold crops. So that's one cabbage plant that's in the center. And then that lacinato kale looks wonderful. So I've already harvested off of this and the kale that's in the hanging pots, which was a new thing I did this year. So pleased with that. My tumbling tom tomatoes have created an atmosphere for aphids. So I did see a ladybug in here, just one. I think I have the, there she is. I think I have the, oh no, there's two. And they're having a private moment, so I'll let them continue. I'm almost convinced that this came from when I was away for about 5 days. I was watering every day. It was actually much warmer than it's been over the last couple of weeks, and so it created an atmosphere where these aphids have taken over. So I managed this other side with, and I can still see some there, but with spraying with a water hose. So we're going to try to get this under control. These would be the first cherry tomatoes that I would get out of the garden. I ended up planting out or direct sowing some beets. I'm hopeful beets do much better when you start them in cooler weather. So we're hopeful that although it is getting warmer, that they'll still produce the beetroot. Super pleased with this area. Sweet potatoes, pole beans, and cucumbers. I actually am having some trouble with the cucumbers in the front yard, so I may need to actually get out and re-sow some cucumbers because I have this planting and then these container cucumbers here. Well, it's a bush variety. So I have had some disturbance in the garden atmosphere. I intentionally left this new garden bed uncovered the night before. I had this netting on it, which is what's going to end up covering this space, but you can see it's either Bigfoot, a squirrel, a cat, raccoon, something has been digging in this space, I'll level out the soil, get the space planted, and cover it with the netting. Generally speaking, if the soil is exposed, animals find their way. It's like kind of unplanted garden spaces brings all the animals to the yard. But once we get things planted in them, most times they're okay. Although I do err on the side of caution and netting on if it makes sense for the space. At some point over the next week, I really do need to get in and thin my carrots. I know I'm not going to do that today, so I'm going to be realistic with myself. I have to re-sow some areas for my green stalks. I still have my blackberry green stalk to get planted. I've been keeping an eye on my tomatoes. This is my main planting of tomatoes, and they look really good. Here are my sweet corn starts. So we're going to get those transplanted into the front yard garden space when that opens up. So my broccoli, you could see these yellow pieces. This is where it's starting to flower. And ultimately, if I leave it, it'll produce basically seeds from the broccoli. We don't want that. So this is still absolutely edible. I'm going to basically harvest anything that I see that has signs of flowering. So that's 1, 2. I've already harvested a few of the plants. 3. I harvested here. This is a side shoot. And then this is a larger head, 4. So we'll get those out of the garden. We have overcast and it's going to rain this afternoon. So I want to harvest anything that I plan on getting out of the garden over the next day or so. And a couple of strawberries. Here is my cucumber patch in the front yard. So I'm afraid this may be cucumber beetles. I took a picture, did a image search. So it could also be downy mildew, which I feel like I've had before and it didn't look like that. So tinge concerned about that. I'm actually going to end up cutting those leaves off. My okra is starting to shoot up. I think I'm going to pull this plant. When I came back, I had so many aphids on it, and then the ants were starting to eat the aphids, and that one plant has suffered. The other 3 have survived just fine, but I can put something else in that space. Sweet potatoes. So in a previous video, you saw me plant these out. This is just 6 days later. So I'm not concerned about them. They don't look good, but I trust that once I actually get, again, a couple of good rains, about another week, they should green up and start to grow, put on some new growth, start to spread. So this is going to be, really this was designed to be the main planting of sweet potatoes. Snacking for blueberries. So this plant already had fruit on it when I bought it, and I have been enjoying snacking. I haven't had any trouble with the birds yet. I almost feel like I need to whisper that. But I do have this netting here that I could flip over the bed. That was the goal of putting them here. And so I have one more blueberry plant here. This one I'm going to pull up. I have a replacement for it. And these are some additional scarlet runner beans. They look great, but if I'm going to plant them, I need to get them planted. I don't want to let them get too large in that container. It's not recommended to transplant things like that, you know, beans in particular. I've had pretty good luck with it. As a quick update, the scarlet runner beans that are planted along the new trellis, I have been looking and watching closely, and I have been picking slugs off of them. So while there are some roly-polies down there, I think the combination of the two have given these beans a hard time. But I'm hopeful that some new growth will be put on and they will continue to fight their way up this trellis. I could again come back in and just do something like, I hate to pull flowers, but like clear this space a little bit more and plant some more beans there. We'll see. I'll make a decision on scarlet runner beans this week. So on to planting. One of the things I think the garden teaches you is there's a difference between when a garden is growing and a garden that's finished. And one could argue that a garden is really never finished. Like if you look at my space right now, there are tomatoes growing, we got the sweet potatoes planted, I'm harvesting some broccoli and kale and a few collards, and there's a lot happening in this space. From the outside, it may look like the work is done, but this is actually one of the most important parts of the season. The harvests I'm getting now are creating opportunities for what's to come next. The broccoli is going to make room for the sweet corn. The empty containers still need to be planted out. There are areas that didn't perform exactly the way I wanted to, so I'll be replanting those. Then there's some plant struggles that I need to manage through. These peppers are going to go into the 5-gallon buckets along the fence line. It's one of my favorite spaces to grow in. It's an area that could easily be ignored, but it turns into something really productive. Over the years, I've collected these food-grade buckets from local grocery stores, drilled holes in them, and they've become a reliable part of the garden every season. The containers get a little bit of soil to top them off, some compost and fertilizer. I get the peppers planted and add some shredded leaves for mulch, and then cages for support. Nothing fancy, just putting the plants in a position to be successful and then letting them do their thing. And I think that's really what this time of year is about. Not necessarily doing anything huge and dramatic in the garden, but continuing to do the small things that keep the season moving forward. I didn't get a chance to plant everything I'd hoped to today. The rain came in fast and furious, but I got some of the things done, and that's really what I can hope for. It's funny, the garden looks full, but it's definitely not a time to slow down. I appreciate y'all spending some time with me, and as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the next one.